Welcome everybody to Football Discussion Daily. I am Joe. I'm here with my co-host
Yo,
CGO or George, and today is the 25th of January 2026, and we will be discussing Arsenal 2, Manchester United 3, a game that happened at earlier today. And going into this game, Arsenal are top of the league. They're still top of the league. They were hoping to go 7 points clear due to the defeat. They're now 4 points clear, both Villa and Manchester City. Manchester United had sacked their manager a couple of games ago. They had beat Manchester City last week, and Arsenal was favored by a lot. Arsenal scored first. Manchester United scored the next two. Arsenal scored to tie at 2-2, and then Arsenal and then Manchester United scored again at the end of the game. This game, again, big game for United, who still have an interim manager with Carrick. George, what are your thoughts on the match today?
well, it was a game that nobody gave Manchester United a chance of getting a win. I was thinking if Manchester United would get something positive, probably they'll be able to get a draw in this game. But they surprised everyone. You see that determination, how very agile they were. The level of the intensity was so impressive. I think they deserve to win this game because Arsenal were very sloppy in the game. I don't know if it's as a result of fatigue. That I can't really explain. They were very slow the way they moved the ball. They were not creating chances. Like we know, if you look at the two goals Arsenal scored, they were more like scrappy goals, a kind of a goal scramble. That was what happened that led to those two goals they had. The first one was a kind of an own goal, which was attributed to Martinez. And then the second one was a goal scramble in the 18-yard box from a corner. And then we had Merino scoring for them. But if you look at the goals Manchester United scored, those were spectacular goals, especially the goal from Dogu, Patrick Dogu, and also Matthews Cunha. Those were spectacular goals. Apart from the first goal that Buemo scored, which was as a result of a mistake from Zubimendi, who gave him a gift. And I love the way he was able to round up the keeper and then he scored that goal because that goal was so important because he gave them a kind of a lifeline. That
It was a
was what
great
gave
finish.
Manchester United the confidence that we can actually get something positive here at Emirates Stadium. So it was a game that I wasn't too sure of Manchester United getting a positive result like a win, considering that Arsenal has played 11 games prior to that game at home in the Premier League and they've won 9, only drew 2. That was against Manchester City, which they played 1-1, and then a goalless draw against Liverpool at the Emirates Stadium. So it was more like a fortress for them. So for a team with such kind of good record and on top of the table, you expect that they would go all out with high intensity to get the win. But that was
George,
not the case today.
do you know who the last team to score 3 goals against Manchester or against Arsenal in the Premier League is?
Well, I guess it will be Brentford like you normally tell.
It was not Brentford. It was Luton Town. They scored
Okay,
3 goals against Arsenal in a 4-3 loss. I think it was 2 years ago. So it's been quite a while. Arsenal, the
yes,
most impressive thing about them was their defense. I thought Arsenal was actually the better team for 30 minutes. And then as soon as that goal goes in, like everything you said was completely true about Arsenal being weak the last 60 minutes. But the first 30 minutes, I felt they were on the front foot. They were creating chances. I don't know if it was tactical or mental, but there was a switch that happened as soon as they scored that first goal where everything you said came true. They started passing slow, but they were the better teams the first 30 minutes. I do feel that that goal, while it was scrappy, that first goal, it was not against the run of play. It was expected. I think that, Arsenal were definitely on the front foot. And I do feel that Embuemo goal was important. It was a great finish, but it was very important for United mentally
yes,
that they
yes,
could
yes.
go on and win this. I do think that the Cunha and Dorgu goals, as great as they were still individual quality. They weren't some
Yes.
elaborate passing move that they cut through a defense. It was, yeah, brilliant goals, brilliant finishes, but I don't know how sustainable that is if for a team to do that, expect to do that week in, week out, score a 30-yard screamer. That's not something that typically, your absolutely elite teams seek to score that way. But I've also said that I felt that I'm not sure that Arsenal can sustain their scoring off set pieces for week to week and week to week, week after week, endlessly in the Premier League. And they've ridden that wave to 4 points clear at the end of towards the end of January. And I think that lack of open play creativity might come back to bite them as this title run, and they're trying to win the title. I saw that a lot of their forwards haven't really scored in a very long time. Their two goals today were from a midfielder and an own goal. I don't think Saka's scored since October. I don't think Gyökeres has not been super prolific this season, and neither has Jesus or any of their forwards really. So we'll see how that comes. And George, do you think that Arsenal is going to bounce back and continue to trudge along in the title race?
Well, I expect them to make a statement by coming back strongly, because the team they'll be playing, because they have a Champions League game to play on Wednesday, but that's a game they might decide to use their that is players who have not been getting much game time, because they've already qualified for the next round. So there's no point for them to put in most of their men to play their game. So I want to believe they would like to rest their players, so that they'll be very fresh for the next Premier League game, because they just have to win that to bounce back, because the pressure is now beginning to increase, because with this kind of result you only give teams like Manchester City more motivation to you are telling them that yes, that the league is still open. That's the indication, that's the message from today's result. So I feel they need to bounce back in the next game. If not, it's going to be very pathetic for them, because Arsenal in the last three seasons they finished second, and coming this fourth time, if they bottle it this time, I'm sure a lot of Arsenal fans will not be happy with Mikel Arteta. I can tell
Yeah.
you that for free.
Out of the last three seasons, though, they really only bottled it once. One of those seasons, last season, they had a terrible injury run, and they really solved that this past summer by adding a lot of quality depth and bringing a lot of quality players like Eze in um, and Zubamendi. 3 years ago, that they did collapse, did fix some of their core squad issues by bringing in Rice. I think Rice was after that summer, but definitely Raya was after that. And in order to compete with Manchester City the following season. And then 2 years ago, they got 89 points. They won 15 out of 17 to end the season. That is not a choke. Like that is not a bottle. They were very good. They stood up to pressure very well. So this team is capable of it as well, because it's largely the same core of players, same manager, same mentality. 2 years ago, they had a very good end of season. Man City was absolutely perfect to end the season. Arsenal was, dropped points in two out of their last 15 games or something like that, and lost the title. That is not a bottle. That is a team with a strong mentality, and I've seen it before in this Arsenal team. I do think they'll pull it out this season. I do think that Arsenal fans will have to sweat a little bit more than they were hoping to about a month ago. They are a very good team, very hard to score against. Manchester City's entire, you know, are still 4 points back, which at the top of the table is, quite a bit at this point of the season. And Manchester City are not the Manchester City of the past. So I think Arsenal will come fine, and they'll end up winning the title this season.
Yeah, because this time around, they if you look at, they have a very good squad depth now compared to 3 seasons ago or 2 seasons ago. Uh, Based on that fact, I don't think there will be any excuse if Arteta fails to win the league this time around, because they have the quality to win the league. So I think they just have to bounce back as quick as possible. I know there will be pressure now, because when things like this happen, that can put a lot of pressure on a team, especially a team that have not won the last three Premier League seasons when they had the opportunity of doing that. So I know the pressure will be there, but they need to do something as quick as possible so that they can win this league this time around.
George, quick question. So we both agreed today, but like right after that first goal from Arsenal, they completely changed the team. Do you think that was more tactical or more mental? Do you think it was Arteta switching up the gameplay, or do you think it was the players?
I think it was more like a tactical stuff. They wanted to take it calm, they wanted to take it easy. But when you play games like this, you don't take it easy, because It's a game you just have to win. So I think that tactical approach didn't really work well for them because you see that even resulted to the error from Zubimendi because you are trying to take things very calm, so relaxed. Sometimes you get carried away and mistakes like this happen. If you watch today's game, you see that Arsenal, they made a lot of errors that they were lucky not to be punished for it. So that's not something that is common with Arsenal. But today, I think the tactical approach after they went 1-0 ahead wasn't the best. And you notice that their performance dropped immediately after they got that goal. Like you said, in the first 20, 30 minutes, they were in control. But after they got that goal, it's like they just went to sleep. And Manchester United came fighting and they got a positive result.
I do believe that player culture reflects, manager leadership, and I do feel like Arteta changed the tactics after that, and I think that 60 minutes is way too long to shut down a game against a good team. If you're 20 minutes left, you're up 1-0, definitely make the game slow, calm it down. You cannot do that for 60 minutes against a good team, like a team with talent like Manchester United, because they're going to punish you, and they did with Mbeumo. I think that I think it was a tactical switch that led to players turning off mentally a bit. And I think that Arteta is a very smart manager who's shown that he can definitely learn from his mistakes and go for that 2-second goal instead of sitting on that 1 goal lead for trying to sit on that 1 goal lead for a whole full hour. But we'll see. And like you said, sometimes you play, teams just are lucky. Which was not, what's not the case today. Do you think that Manchester United are going to push for that Champions League spot and that 5th spot?
Well, if you look at the way things are, they are not playing any other competition. They're out of the FA Cup, they are out of the Carabao Cup, they are not playing in Europe. So it's more like playing one game in a week. So
Mm-hmm.
that puts them in a very good position to focus on finishing top four and then qualifying for the Champions League. So far as I'm concerned, they have the personnel to finish top four if they are able to maintain that consistency because it's one thing for you to go and win big games like defeating Manchester City at Old Trafford, coming to Emirates Stadium to get a win against Arsenal. But what happens when you play against the low teams? Because if you watch, you see that when Amorim was there, Manchester United normally struggles against the low side, the those sides that you expect them to win. So let's see how it goes. If they're able to defeat most of those teams, then that means they are on course to finish top four. They have what
Against
it takes.
With Ole, they had the same issue. They were good at beating top teams, and they were not very good about beating lower teams. We'll see how Carrick performs over the next couple months. I do feel like the top three have kind of separated themselves with their performance and their points totals, and the next three, 2 out of 3 will make Champions League. That's United, Chelsea, Liverpool. My gut tells me that'll be Liverpool, and then Chelsea will nick United for 5th. But possibly, I think Newcastle might be in that mix as well. We'll see. Um, it should be a great end of the season and hopefully we'll see a great both title race and Europa League. Do you think there's any chance, George, that Carrick is going to get the permanent position at Manchester United?
Well, like I knew we had a discussion offline some time ago, and I said if Carrick is able to qualify them for the Champions League, I can assure you they would like to keep him for the purpose of continuity. So if he can get a Champions League spot, well, that means he's going to get the job. So I think now it's more like trying to test him and see what he can do with the squad. So if he can qualify for the Champions League, definitely he deserves to be given the job full time.
Okay. Well, I think it would be a poor choice for United to go with Michael Carrick because Manchester United is such a big club with large expectations and big budget. And I think that for a first time manager, I feel like it's not the best spot to be. And it would be a repeat of Ole, where they'd have some false hopes, some good games, and overall just disappointing. Maybe some good moments here and there. But I think that with Ole over the year and a half, I don't think the club progressed back to where they'd like to be. I feel like Ole came to the club and left the club in probably a worse stature than what he came in a couple of years ago. Let me close out today with our standard questions. Is today's loss and the last couple of results indicative of Arsenal bottling the league? Do you think they're going to come back with that mentality to win it? Do you think that United are Champions League qualifying team this year? Do you think that yeah, they're going to nick that fourth or fifth spot. And do you think that Michael Carrick deserves or will get the Manchester United job? Thanks for listening. Let us know your comments below on whatever platform you follow us on, and appreciate you guys.